I have seen it time and time again, where people become trapped, even enslaved by their finances. And this is completely understandable. So many of us have never received good education when it comes to handling our own personal finances well. You know, I probably would be struggling today if it wasn't for my parents who taught me these principles at a very young age. You know, for me, I almost make it a game where I want to see how low I can make my expenses, because I know if my expenses are low, I have freedom. It almost doesn't matter what my income is if my expenses are low enough. But despite all of that, there is one interesting piece of this that I'd like to share with you. And that is that companies are actively trying to get you to pay as much for their products as you possibly can. And there's actually books written on the subject. See, there are customers who have a low willingness to pay, and there are customers who have a high willingness to pay. So the company wants to charge the customers with a low willingness to pay a lower amount so they get that customer, and then they want to charge the customers with a high willingness to pay a high amount so they can get more money from those customers. A good example of this is the airline. Oftentimes people can get the exact same seats in an airline for wildly different prices. And they actually break up the market into different segments based upon the customer's willingness to pay. One simple example of this is that customers who come wanting to buy an airline ticket early are often vacation customers who have a very low willingness to pay and want the cheapest ticket. But those who want to book later for a flight tend to be business customers who have a higher willingness to pay, and therefore they get charged a whole lot more. So one tip there is simply book your airline early. Another example of this is the internet providers providing internet to your home. They offer a low introductory rate to get you into their service. And then your rate goes way up, usually a lot higher after about a year. Now the magic here is that you can call your internet service provider asking to renew the discounted rate, and often they'll accept that. And if they won't, then you just tell them you want to quit, and then they definitely will accept a lower rate. Now the magic behind that is that, again, they're breaking low and high willingness to pay customers. If you're simply comfortable with their rate, you're not going to call them in. But those who want the lower rate will call in, and they want to capture both groups. So you have to learn how to play that game and become a low willingness to pay customer. Another interesting piece of this puzzle is interest rates. Oftentimes you can get loans, right? You always want to fight for the lowest interest rate loans, and you want to get different banks to quote you different proposals on those loans, like a personal finance loan. Banks often recognize that customers want a lower payment. So banks will be a little bit sneaky in that they will say, hey, we can get your payment, your monthly payment, to a low price of this. But you're gonna spend, 10 years paying this thing off, like a car loan. But you don't want to do that generally, because the thing they'll sneak in there is they'll put a higher interest rate in order to capture more money from you. So there are all these little tricks, and the world in some way is out to try to make you pay as much as you can, or the companies are trying to do that. So learn what they're doing so you can counteract that to be a low willingness to pay customer and get the same services that they're offering at a lower price. I hope that helps.